Hi, I'm Tammy and welcome back to my sewing channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create 3 easy sewing projects that make perfect gifts. So the first project we're actually going to make is a really simple tote bag, and what you're going to need is a main body piece, and I've cut this on the fold. You're going to need a pocket piece. I've decided to use contrasting fabric for a bit of fun, and then you're going to need 2 rectangles that are for the straps of the bag. Here are the measurements that I used in this project. Feel free to pause here. So once that's all cut out, let's get to sewing the actual project. So the first thing we're actually going to want to do is take the bag piece and line up the side seams, and we're going to pin along these seams. So with the bag right sides facing together, we're going to sew along both side seams with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I've just sewn the side seams of the bag, and I've also overlocked the edges, and this is what it looks like. So now what we're going to want to do is take the top piece and fold it in by 1/2 inch, and then fold it again by 1 inch, and we're going to press this all around the top edge of the bag. So I've just pressed all along the top edge of the bag, and now what we're going to want to do is basically just stitch around the whole edge of the bag. So here is the bag all neatly stitched along the top edge, and that's actually the main bag completed. So now what we're going to want to do is take these strap pieces, and with the wrong sides facing up, we're going to press this by 1/2 inch, press this again by 1/2 inch, and fold that over and press that again. So I'm going to do that for both of my straps, and I'll come back when that is ready. So this is what these straps look like now they're pressed nice and flat. With the edges that are open, we're going to want to stitch along this whole edge, all along the strap, and leave the ends raw. And then you can also stitch along this edge as well, just so it looks nice and even. But yeah, I think I'm going to stitch on both ends actually, just so it looks a bit more decorative. So I've just stitched the straps on both sides, as you can see here, and this just makes the strap quite nice and sturdy. Now what we're going to want to do is look at how we're going to attach these to the bag. So we're going to measure 3 inches inwards from the side seam, and we're just going to pin a little point here just so we know exactly where that is. And I'm going to do the same for the other side. And then we're going to take the strap and just fold the edge in by about 1 centimetre. And we're going to place that right where in the middle where we marked the pin. So I'm going to take that out, just place that over here and pin it in place. And then we're going to take the other end of the bag strap and again fold that in by 1 centimetre and place that in the middle of where we just marked. So let's do the same for the back of the bag. So now we pin the straps to the bag, we're going to basically want to sew a little box to make the straps really nice and sturdy, and then you can also sew a cross in the middle of the box and that will just make it extra strong when the straps are in place. So this is what the bag looks like now the straps are all attached, and if we just turn the bag inside out you can see the detail of the straps much better. So as you can see we've got a nice little square and then I've actually just done a line of stitching in between it, and that is the straps all completed. Now the bag is actually nearly done. I decided I wanted to use a contrasting little pocket for the front. So let's get ahead at looking at how we're going to sew that onto the bag. So the first thing we're going to want to do for the pocket piece is fold in all the edges around 1/2 inch and press that in place. And then the top we're going to press that in by 1/2 inch and do that again by 1/2 inch, and we're going to stitch that on top to make a nice clean finish for the top of the pocket. So I have the pocket piece just stitched on the top edge and that's what this looks like, and then the insides are just folded under once and pressed in place. What we're going to want to do is look at the bag and kind of figure out where we want this pocket to go, and I'm just going to put it in the center of the bag, so roughly there, and then we're just basically going to pin along all the edges through just one layer of the tote bag and keep the top section free. Okay, so now that's all pinned in place with the top section free, we're basically just going to sew along this entire edge and make sure you don't sew the back of the bag. You're just going to open this out and sew just this side of the pocket to this side of the bag. So this is the final bag. You've got a little pocket at the front, which is a really nice touch, and some two nice contrasting straps. Let's get on to the next project. For the tea towels, you'll need a rectangle that measures 20 inches by 25 inches. So once you have your rectangle cut out, what you're basically going to want to do is just fold in 1/2 inch and fold again by 1/2 inch. And we're going to do that around the whole edge of the rectangle and press that in place. So this is what the tea towel looks like now that all the edges are pressed under. What we're basically just going to want to do is sew along the entire edge around the whole rectangle. It's a really simple and easy project and uses up scrap fabric really nicely. So let's go to the sewing machine and sew down the sides. And that is the tea towel completed. I've just sewn along all the edges and it looks nice and neat everywhere. So that is the tea towel completed. Let's move on to the next project, which will be a eye mask. So now we're going to make the eye mask, and I've used the pattern from the Tilly and the Buttons free pattern she shares on her website. I'll put a link to that in the description box below. But what you'll need is a wadding piece for the eye mask, or you can use some wool like I have here, just some leftover fabric I had. And then you'll need a main fabric piece and a lining piece for the mask, and then also a strip of elastic to fit around your head, and I think it recommends 15 inches, and then also a long piece of fabric which will be the strap for the eye mask. So now we're going to take the strip of fabric that's going to become the strap, and we're going to fold it in half with the right sides together and sew along the entire edge. So this is what the strap looks like now that it's all sewn all along one edge. But basically I want to turn the strap inside out, and I'm just going to use a safety pin because I find it to be the easiest method. So this is the strap turned completely right side out. I'm just going to give this a nice press so it's ready to insert the elastic. So this is my satin strap, really nicely pressed and neat. And now what we're going to want to do is take the elastic piece, and we're going to thread through a safety pin, and then we're basically going to push this through the whole strap. So now that I've pushed the elastic through to the band, we're just going to stitch here and here to secure the elastic to the fabric. So this is what the elastic strap looks like once we've sewn both ends of the elastic down to the fabric. What we're going to want to do now is take our mask piece, and where we mark 2 notches on the pattern, we're basically going to pin them there and there, making sure the strap isn't twisted. So I actually decided to just baste these in place instead of just pins because it's quite fiddly. So just sew both of these down at the edges here. So now as it's done, what we're going to do is move the string up here, and then we're going to take the wadding piece, and I've just put the lining right sides together, and we're going to pin this around the whole edge and leave this top section open. So as you can see, I've basically pinned around the whole edge, and I've kept this section open, and that's where the strap is just hanging out at the moment. So let's sew around this whole edge. So this is what the eye mask should look like when you've sewn around the edge and you've left the top bit open. And now what we're going to want to do is take some sharp scissors and just go around and cut through the seam allowance, but make sure not to go into the stitches. And this will just make it really easy when we turn the whole mask around. So now we're going to push the whole mask inside out. So this is what the eye mask should look like now it's all turned out. What we're going to want to do is just push the edges in, and we're going to top stitch around the whole mask, and that will help us close the front seam up here and also just make a nice top stitching detail all around the side. And that is the final mask completed. I've top stitched around the whole edge and enclosed the top opening. Let's see how all the projects look together.